Okay, Jayden Daniels. Last night, it was reported by none other than Mark Schlabach that an attorney representing Jayden Daniels has informed LSU that it can no longer use his name, image, and likeness, according to a letter that was sent to Athletic Director Verge Osbury last week. The copy of the letter was obtained earlier last night. We'll kind of get into it. What does this mean for LSU? And I'll give you my honest opinion about this. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. This is, of course, the Southern Sports Scene here on YouTube. I'm your host, as always, Lucas Hill. Make sure y'all do us a favor. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell notifications so that you are notified every time we go live, posting a video or posting a short on the Southern Sports Scene. As always, we want to thank our friends and partners over at FrostBuddy. Going over to frostbuddy.com. Use that promo code SSS15 to get 15% off your first purchase. And we also want to thank our friends at Chike Nutrition. 20 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, and 1 gram of sugar in every healthy, hearty cup of Chike Nutrition products. You want to get the day started off right? Click the link below to get 10% off of your first purchase. And we also want to thank our friends over at the Buzzer Network for sponsoring our videos and being a proud partner as college football season approaches. We're going to have our videos and our live streams being displayed over at Buzzer. So, again, this is late night news that we just got. So, at the center, so this is according to the ESPN article that just got put out last night. At the center of the dispute, according to a statement from Daniels' spokesperson to ESPN, is that the Tigers are allowing sophomore cornerback DJ Pickett to wear the number 5 jersey that Daniels wore when he became LSU's third Heisman Trophy winner in 2023. When Daniels' jersey hasn't been retired, while Daniels' jersey hasn't been retired by the Tigers, it's the first time a player has worn number 5 since he left the program for the NFL. So this is per the statement by Daniels' spokesperson. See, this is the key part about this. The Daniels family is deeply disappointed and feels profoundly disrespected by LSU's decision to give Jayden Daniels' number to another player. Jayden and his family had every reason to believe that his number would remain a meaningful part of his LSU legacy and would be honored and protected in recognition of his extraordinary contributions to the university. Guys, you got to realize there are regulations, there are rules per university when it comes to jersey retirements and more. Guys, Jayden Daniels acts like he's the be-all at the end of the day when it comes to how he's treated as a Heisman winner. He acts like he needs his number retired. Okay, he wasn't the only one that was wearing 5 whenever he was at LSU. Kerry Vincent Jr. was wearing that whenever he was there. There was another player that was wearing 5 while he was there. And I get it that it's different from when you're there at the school compared to afterwards. Guys, first of all, you can wear 5. You can wear whatever jersey number, okay? Jersey retirements are, make no mistake about it, Jayden Daniels' 2023 season will never be forgotten in college football, okay? I think it's one of the best seasons ever from a quarterback. One of, keyword there. But the legacy just is not the same when you compare other stars that came through LSU, like Billy Cannon, who won a Heisman Trophy at LSU. You look at other legacies like, of course, probably the greatest Tiger of all time, Joe Burrow. What's the big difference between those two and what Jayden Daniels won? They won a Heisman Trophy. Of course, you got to give Jayden Daniels the benefit of the doubt because of how bad that defense was. But here's the thing. I don't think that it's Jayden Daniels himself that is making these statements. I don't think that it's him that is personally saying, hey, y'all need to stop using my name, image, and likeness. I think it's his family. And we've seen issues like this come up in the past. Nico Yamayalava's situation last year, where he basically holds out during spring practice this past season, and it comes out and says, oh, his dad and his representatives were reaching out to the NIL collective and wanted to increase his pay for 2025 to around 4 million. Even though 2.4 million was just fine for him, okay? But again, like I mentioned, Michael, when you compare him at that time in 23 and you compare other quarterbacks that have come through there, the legacy just isn't the same, okay? Again, it has nothing to do with how Jayden Daniels was on the field. Phenomenal football player. Like I said already, one of the greatest seasons that we've seen from a quarterback in recent memory. But the legacy that you see guys like Joe Burrow leave behind with the weapons that he had and the significance that he left at LSU led them to a national championship, won a national title. Jayden Daniels won 9 games as a starter at LSU. His best season. Is that all his fault? No. Was he held back by a lackluster defense? Yes. But you also have to understand that this is on the side of Brian Kelly and company whenever they first started recruiting DJ Pickett. So you look at that, and Lane Kiffin already said in practice, look, DJ Pickett was promised the number 5 whenever he was being recruited out of high school. And that chance finally came, and he got the number. So Jayden Daniels isn't wanting his number. I think that there's a big difference in between a number being retired and a jersey being retired. All right. The jersey retirement means a hell of a lot more than a freaking number. All right. So continuing on with the statement, it said, Jayden made it clear that he did not want his number given to another player, and he believes his wishes would be respected. His Heisman Trophy winning season and everything he accomplished on and off the field cemented his place in LSU history. To see his number given to another player is incredibly disappointment and feels like a failure and like a failure to honor the significance of what Jayden accomplished at LSU. You accomplished a lot on the field, okay? Me personally, I don't know what you did off the field, but whatever you did, congratulations. I can tell you right now, the state of Louisiana feels there was a lot more that Joe Burrow did than what Jayden Daniels did. They're not hating on the fact that Jayden Daniels had a remarkable season and Jayden Daniels won you a lot of football games down the stretch in SEC play. But the fact of the matter is that him and Joe Burrow's legacies are not even close to being the same. They're not. If that was the case, Ohio State would have retired every freaking jersey in college football. All right? They would have retired freaking Troy Smith's jersey quick. They would have retired Ezekiel Elliott's jersey. How many players have we seen wear the number 15 and the number 10 as of late when it comes to Ohio State? quite a lot. So it's not like this is a new thing that we're experiencing. It's not like this is something new that we've seen throughout college football, because we've seen cease and desist letters being sent out to um, other colleges for certain reasons, but for a number, because somebody else was wearing a number, is petty. It is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. DJ is in 5, and that was a situation that was promised to him recruiting here for him to sign here. I've done a lot of research on that with the family and the representatives and the people, so really I didn't have a decision to make. It was promised to the kid. It was done. It wasn't done for whatever. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to judge something that was done when I wasn't here, but when a kid is promised something to a school, he should wear it. So at that point, I don't think that's really my decision. We should honor what he was told. So that also was on the fault of the previous staff with Brian Kelly, because they basically promised him something that was kind of egregious and it was kind of stupid, but whatever. A number's a number. It really doesn't matter, but it obviously did to the kid, to DJ Pickett. So that's why he's in number 5. And then Brian Kelly told ESPN earlier that he believed 5 was promised to Pickett during his recruitment, but he chose not to issue it to him because Daniels wasn't on board with DJ Pickett wearing his number. So who cares? You're no longer part of the organization. Go. I just wasn't prepared to do it until we got a full commitment from another Heisman Trophy winner. We didn't want to issue number 9, so you can't treat one differently from the other. Has Joe Burrow come back to LSU and said, and told Brian Kelly or Lane Kiffin or even Ed Orgeron during that stint, hey, you can't give out 5, give out my number 9 to anyone. Don't give it out. Have we heard that? If you have, please let me know. Because this is just egregious. And it's so petty. It is so dumb. Accordingly, LSU must immediately cease and desist from any further issue, use, display, publication, distribution, promotion, commercialization, or any other exploitation of Mr. Daniels' NIL in any manner or medium. Any use of Mr. Daniels' NIL occurring after LSU's receipt of this notice will be deemed knowingly and willing and willful and will be pursued vigorously through all available legal and equitable remedies without further notice. That's why DJ Pickett's jersey was such a big ordeal just a few weeks ago. Doesn't make any sense. But again, the LSU policy states that, quote, an athlete must have completed competition for 5 years before being nominated for jersey retirement, and he or she must have, quote, demonstrated truly unusual and outstanding accomplishments, such as winning a Heisman Trophy or National Player of the Year award, and should be based on the total LSU career. Okay, there's that. He spent 2 years there, same with Joe Burrows. Here's the difference, though. Jayden Daniels won a Heisman Trophy. Fantastic. I think he had more total yards than Joe Burrow did. And you got to remember, Joe Burrow played in 3 extra games. He played in the SEC Championship, and he played in the National Championship as well, and the College Football Playoff and National title. He had almost 6,000 yards of total offense. In fact, I think he did have just over 6,000 yards of offense when you combine his rushing stats and his passing, because he had 5,600 passing yards and he had 60 touchdowns that year. When you look at Jayden Daniels, here's where he was as a quarterback. And here's where it gets interesting, because if you say you feel disrespected, he had 4,900 yards of total offense and 50 touchdowns. I'm not taking away what he did. It's impressive, to say the least. 40 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. But you never wanted a national title. Not every Heisman Trophy winner is going to have their jersey retired. You look at prime examples. Ohio State is a great example with Troy Smith, who won it in 2006. His jersey wasn't retired. As he sent a cease and desist to Ohio State, Dak Prescott had a significant impact with Mississippi State in 2014, led them to a number 1 ranking. Has his jersey been retired? Not that I know of. You look at other teams around college football. Every team around college football has a significant star that won a Heisman Trophy that left a massive mark on their program. But do you see their jersey retired? Go look at Alabama football. That's probably the prime example, other than Ohio State. But when you look at them, are people still wearing number 2? Are people still wearing number 22? Number 2? Are people still wearing number 6? Number 9? Yeah. And guess what? 3 of the 4 won a national title. Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Devontae Smith. All 3 of them won a Heisman Trophy. All 3 of them won a national title. Are their jerseys retired? Should they be? Sure. But you don't see that level of pettiness there. That's not the case with Jayden Daniels, which I really do believe is a family matter. I think that this is a very similar situation to what has happened with family members being involved with these sort of situations. Nico Yamalava's case is a great example. There's obviously been some others that I can't really name off the top of my head, but this has just been a weird saga, man. But let me know what you guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys really soon in the next episode of us here at the Southern Sports Scene. You have a good day.